Well, good morning, TikTok. Ed over here at FICMRepair.com, your single source for all things diesel. 95 and newer Ford, Chevy, and Dodge. Just in case you're not with it, we got you. It's still about 16 million-ish auto parts last time I checked. It's a lot. So from exhaust to engines to whatever, we got you. Injectors, turbos, sizing, tuning, lines, tires, and bears. Oh my. At any rate, this comment came in, and we've never talked about this, I'm realizing. Here's a guy, we were talking about dummy plugs and standpipes, and we were comparing and contrasting the O-ringless ones with diesel sights, and I just threw diesel sights up here for funsies, I guess. But this gentleman writes, he says, I dogged the living tar out of mine, and I'm just not having a problem. It's taking a licking and keep on ticking. Dating myself now. That's a Timex referral. Timex? Who the heck's Timex? Yeah, you youngins, you have no idea what you missed out on. 80s, it's the best. Anyway, the point is this. It does seem like, in case you don't know, and listen, if you're a 17-year-old listening to this video, this is not a reason to beat the crap out of your truck, okay? Please don't do that. Live within its confines, right? So if you don't yet run monitoring gauges, save your nickels and buy this product. I mean, preferably from us, but whatever. Buy monitoring gauges. And the Edge Insight CTS3 beeps at you when bad things are happening. You don't have to notice. It supports additional things. But that's not my point. My point is there is a generally regarded statement that Powerstroke 6.0s, the ones that are worked, are the ones that last forever, and the ones that are used as grocery getters don't. And that's just the case. Now, worked means, there's a 12,000 pound, 15,000 pound, 10,000 pound trailer behind it, and it's got a load of building materials on the back, right? That's what I mean by working. I don't mean doing donuts and dogging it and, causing you to wonder about, the integrity of your L-pop gear if you're a ZF6 guys. And that's a whole video unto itself, I'm realizing. Oh my goodness, does this ever end? There's just a lot to know. At any rate, the point is, if you push your boost to 28 psi a boost on the somewhat regular, guess what's not going to happen? Your vanes aren't going to seize up. You're going to take your turbo apart and have one more thing to squawk about. If you get the thing to full operating temperature, you're not going to have all of the wet stacking and all of the other issues that plague diesels overall. If you run it long enough and not just run it for 2 miles and shut it down, 2 miles and shut it down, 2 miles and shut it down, you're not going to be so susceptible to having FICM problems. The people that have the problems with the Powerstroke 6-liter, prove me wrong, as Charlie Kirk would say. The people that have problems with Powerstroke 6-liters are the people who just use them as grocery getters that just kind of lollygag along. They never exceed 5 psi a boost. Lord help us all. They never, caused a thing to, they're never taking it to redline. And I'm not saying that you should always take your truck to redline. Don't misunderstand. And redline, all redline is you're floating the valves. But recognize that I'm not suggesting that you drive your truck like a 17-year-old. What I am suggesting is that you should use your truck. Don't be scared of it. Every once in a while, blow the cobwebs out. That's fine. Hop on the expressway and just, pedal to the metal it. But keep it with gauges like the Edge, preferably the Edge. Watch your oil temps. Don't get above 230-degree oil. Please don't. Watch your deltas. Verify that they're good. Get a coolant filter, of course. Ideally, the one from IPR Research that's sold on our site, because it's a full flow, not a bypass. But if you can only afford the bypass, it's better than nothing. We sell both options. But if you have monitoring gauges, you're watching your EGTs, you're watching your trans temp, take your trans temp and, get your transmission up to serious temperature. Did you know that there's a valve that opens? A thermostatic bypass valve, don't you know? At like 165 to 170, somewhere in there. A lot of guys say 166. But it opens up and allows fluid to flow that normally doesn't for cooling purposes. Kind of fun. But, go ahead and take your trans up to that temperature. Go ahead and take you up to 28 psi a boost. Make sure that your oil temperature is getting north of 200. Go do that. Push this thing a little bit and you'll have fewer problems. You'll have to buy fewer parts from us. But do it with monitoring. And after you dog on it and whatever, hopefully you've got either a few minutes of time after you've done this to drive the thing kind of calmly and let things kind of gel out a little bit, or you've got this turbo timer hooked up to your Edge that allows you to set a predefined exhaust gas temperature at which you take the key out of the ignition and the truck will not continue to run, or will continue to run until that exhaust gas temperature number is reached. And that way you don't have to ask about the turbos that I also sell. Although if you're looking for some funsies, I mean, I do happen to sell turbos, and oh yeah, they're kind of fun. But regardless, the goal is to tell you stuff, not sell you stuff, and see if we can avoid you from spending money that you just don't have to spend. But to the point, if you install, to this original poster's point, if you install your standpipes properly, you're not going to have a problem if you use the proper standpipe, whether they are the CSC diesel fancy ones-o awesomeness, or they are the diesel site ones, if the budget just isn't quite there yet. So if you never want to do it again, the CSC ones, yeah, because there's no rubber, it'll never degrade. But you know, the rubber degrading conversation, it's going to take a minute. As long as you install it right, it'll be okay. But that's more of a sidebar. The primary purpose of the conversation is, please don't feel like because you have a Powerstroke 6.0, you've got to baby the thing. That's just not the case. As long as you have monitoring like this, but there's others. We sell SCT solutions, scan gauge solution, even little Bluetooth solutions for like 30 bucks, whatever. You don't have to spend $500 on monitoring, although this is pretty sweet. You can spend 30 bucks, just do a search on OBD2 on our site, and you'll see the options. But the point is that if you monitor, if you live within the confines of what the motor can do, and you go ahead and you push it to its limits, it's kind of like going to the gym. You go to the gym, and what are you actually doing? You're tearing your muscles. Do you realize that? Maybe you don't. If you don't, now you know. That's why you're sore. Your muscles are actually recovering and they come back better, right? And so you get through with your bench press routine or whatever, and you're just like, I'm sore, ow, right? Yeah, that's your body saying, okay, let me be stronger for you next time. And you know, there's a similar but not related. You know, your Powerstroke doesn't self-heal. We're not quite that cool yet, but it does like to be pushed to its confines, but within the confines. And as long as you do that, you won't have to call me as much. And isn't that a win? Kind of is. But if you do need something, holler at us. We got you. The goal is to tell you stuff, not to sell you stuff. FICMRepair.com. We're all in this together. Thanks for listening. Appreciate you guys. Happy Sunday.